The Jakarta skyline blazed, towers of glass and steel pierced the night, shimmering with 1,000 flickering tickers.
Alex Prasetyo, a young programmer, gazed out at the digital aurora from his apartment window.
He turned back to his computer screen, fingers dancing across the keyboard, navigating a complex crypto transaction. Alex had always been drawn to the world of computers, to the elegant logic of algorithms.
When he discovered Bitcoin, it was a revelation. A currency truly decentralized, free from governments and central banks.
He dove into the world of cryptocurrency, devouring every white paper, studying every technical analysis.
Alex, you're at it again.
Lara's voice broke through Alex's concentration. She placed a mug of herbal tea on his desk.
You haven't moved in hours. You need a break.
I'm almost finished with this project. It's important, Lara. This could be the big one.
Alex met Dito, his oldest friend and a former hacker turned cybersecurity consultant.
You're playing with fire, Alex. This crypto game is riskier than you think.
I know what I'm doing, Dito. I've been studying this for years.
It's not about your skills. The stakes are higher than ever. People are getting desperate.
The days that followed were a blur of coding sessions and sleepless nights.
I threw myself into my work, driven by excitement and unease. Dito's words echoed in my mind.
He stumbled upon cryptic messages hinting at a shadowy organization known as Satoshi's Hand. The tension in the city was palpable. The news feeds were filled with stories of economic instability.
One evening, a strange message flashed across my screen. You are getting closer to the truth. Meet me at the Dragonfly Tower, midnight tomorrow.
Alex's heart pounded as he decrypted the message. The Dragonfly Tower was an abandoned skyscraper, a haven for hackers and criminals.
I stood across the street, my mind racing. I told Lara I was working late.
He checked his watch. Midnight. He took a deep breath and crossed the street. Following cryptic symbols, Alex ascended the tower's crumbling stairwells.
Breathing heavily.
He reached the designated floor, a single flickering light bulb illuminating a steel door. A voice spoke from behind the door. Enter. The room was dominated by a wall of computer monitors. A figure sat hunched over a keyboard.
You have a lot of nerve showing your face. Most people would be too scared.
I'm not most people. I want answers.
Alex stared, speechless, at the figure before him. Satoshi, the enigmatic legend of cryptocurrency.
You think you understand Bitcoin? You've only scratched the surface.
What are you doing? Why are you manipulating the market? People are getting hurt. You're insane. You think you can control the world with Bitcoin? It's just a currency.
Currency? It's a weapon, and I hold the trigger.
Satoshi pointed to a monitor displaying a complex algorithm. The old world must burn so that the new one can be built. Alex stumbled out of the Dragonfly Tower, his mind spinning. The encounter with Satoshi had left him shaken to his core. The weight of the revelation pressed down on him like a physical burden. He hailed a driverless taxi, his hands trembling as he input the coordinates for his apartment. He needed to get back to Lara, to the familiar comfort of their small, ordinary life. But a part of him knew that nothing would ever be the same again. He had glimpsed the abyss, and the abyss had stared back. The following morning, the city awoke to a cacophony of chaos. News feeds blared headlines of a massive Bitcoin crash, the currency plummeting in value with terrifying speed. The stock market followed suit, sending shockwaves through the global economy. Panic spread like wildfire, engulfing the city in a tide of fear and uncertainty. Alex watched the unfolding disaster from his apartment window, his stomach churning with dread. Satoshi was making good on his threat, and the world was hurtling towards financial Armageddon. He had to do something, anything, to stop it. He called Dito, his voice frantic.
You were right. Satoshi's behind it all. He's going to destroy the global economy.
I know, Alex. We need to act fast. Meet me at my office now.
Dito's office was a stark contrast to the chaos outside. Located in a secure building on the city's outskirts, it was a fortress of technology. As soon as Alex arrived, Dito ushered him inside, his face grim.
We don't have much time.
Dito said, pulling up a chair in front of a massive holographic display showing the Bitcoin blockchain.
Satoshi's kill switch is active. He's dismantling the entire network.
Can we stop him?
Alex asked, his voice tight with anxiety. Dito hesitated, scanning the lines of code.
There might be a way. Satoshi mentioned a master key, a backdoor in the original Bitcoin code. If we can find it, we might regain control.
Alex felt a surge of hope.
Where is it?
Dito turned to him, his expression grave.
That's the problem. No one knows. It's Satoshi's ultimate safeguard. He's the only one who knows where it is.
Alex's heart sank. If Satoshi was the only one who knew, their situation was dire. The weight of the world felt heavier than ever as Alex processed Dito's words. The master key was their only hope, a needle in the digital haystack of Satoshi's creation. But how could they possibly find it, let alone wrest control from a mastermind who had years to plan this attack?
We need help.
Alex said, his voice firm despite the tremor in his chest.
Satoshi's been working on this for years. He's had time to cover his tracks, to anticipate our every move.
I agree, but who can we trust? This goes deeper than just a rogue hacker, someone with Satoshi's resources, someone who can bring the world to its knees. They have to have connections, powerful connections.
A chill ran down Alex's spine. Dito was right. They were up against forces far greater than they had initially imagined. This was no longer just about saving their own skins, about recouping financial losses. This was about preserving the very fabric of society, a world teetering on the precipice of complete collapse. They needed to think bigger, bolder, and they needed to do it fast.
Veronica.
Alex said, the name leaving his lips before he could overthink it. Veronica, a shadowy figure he'd encountered in the depths of the crypto underground, someone who walked the line between hacker and government agent. She was an enigma, her loyalties as fluid as the data streams she navigated. But she was also their best shot at finding Satoshi's weakness. Dito's eyes widened slightly, a mixture of surprise and apprehension crossing his face.
Veronica, are you sure? She's as volatile as they come. There's no guarantee she'll help, and if she does, it'll come at a price, a steep one.
We don't have a choice, Dito. Time's running out, and she's the only one who might have the connections, the knowledge, to lead us to the master key. We need to gamble.
Dito let out a sigh, his shoulders slumping slightly as if accepting the weight of their predicament. He knew Alex was right. Desperate times called for desperate measures.
All right, but we do this on our terms. We control the narrative, and we make it clear that we're calling the shots. Veronica thrives on chaos, but we can't afford to let her lead us astray.
Dito's voice was heavy with resignation. The contact with Veronica was swift, a series of encrypted messages exchanged through a labyrinthine network. She agreed to meet at a gritty, neon-drenched nightclub on the fringes of the city.
Alex and Dito navigated through the throngs of revelers, searching for any sign of Veronica.
Over there, Dito whispered, nodding towards a secluded booth shrouded in shadows.
As they approached, Veronica turned, her face a mask of cool indifference.
You boys know how to make an entrance, she purred, her voice laced with sharp intelligence. But do you have what it takes to save the world?
Veronica leaned back in the booth, her lips curving into a sly smile.
Ambitious. I like that. But even saving the world comes at a price, boys.
Name it, Dito said, his voice firm despite the tension.
Veronica's fingers drummed on the table. The light caught the glint of a ring, a skull with ruby eyes.
Information for information, Veronica countered. I know about your little project, Alex.
Alex's blood ran cold. She knew. Veronica was playing a deeper game.
Tell me what you know about the master key, Alex said. Help us stop Satoshi, and you'll have your information. I promise.
Veronica's smile widened, a predatory gleam in her eyes.
I always did admire your tenacity, Alex. Very well. I'll lead you to the master key. But be warned, the path is treacherous, and the clock is ticking. Satoshi's game is almost at its end, and if you're not careful, you'll be playing his endgame, not yours.
She leaned in close, her voice a conspiratorial whisper lost in the throbbing music.
Meet me at dawn, at the coordinates I'm sending you now. And come alone, Alex. Dito's skills are impressive, but in this game, trust is a currency easily counterfeited.
The weight of Veronica's words hung in the air, a promise and a threat intertwined. Alex knew he was walking into the lion's den, but he had no choice. The fate of the world and his own future rested on finding the master key, on outmaneuvering Satoshi and reclaiming control of the very system he had created. The clock was ticking, and the race against time had begun. The coordinates Veronica sent led Alex to the heart of Jakarta's financial district, a sprawling complex of steel and glass towers that housed the servers and networks that powered the city's digital infrastructure. The air thrummed with the silent energy of 1,000,000 terabytes of data, flowing through fiber optic cables, the lifeblood of a world on the brink.
This is it, the final battleground in a war waged with keystrokes and algorithms.
A lone figure dwarfed by the towering structures, Alex felt a surge of adrenaline course through him. He had come too far to turn back, driven by a sense of purpose that transcended fear, that fueled his every step as he approached the imposing entrance of the central server tower. Security was tight, a phalanx of armed guards and biometric scanners guarding the perimeter. But Veronica had anticipated this, providing Alex with a series of digital keys, backdoors into the system that bypassed even the most sophisticated security protocols. He moved with a newfound confidence, his fingers dancing across his modified smartphone, each keystroke a step closer to the heart of the beast. The interior of the server tower was a cathedral of technology, a labyrinthine network of corridors and access points patrolled by automated drones and security cameras that tracked his every move. The air hummed with the constant whir of cooling fans and the blinking lights of countless servers, a symphony of digital noise that echoed through the sterile halls.
Each step forward feels like navigating a deadly puzzle, a gauntlet of digital traps and security checkpoints designed to ensnare the unwary.
Veronica's instructions, delivered through a series of encrypted messages that self-destructed upon reading, guided him deeper into the complex. But Alex had prepared for this, honing his skills in the crucible of countless late-night coding sessions, his mind sharp, his reflexes honed to a razor's edge. He disabled surveillance cameras with carefully placed EMP bursts, rerouted security protocols to create blind spots, his every move a calculated risk in a high-stakes game of cat and mouse. The further he ventured into the belly of the beast, the more he realized the true extent of Satoshi's control, the intricate web of systems he had woven to secure his dominion over the digital world. Reaching the central server room, the nerve center of the entire network, Alex paused, his heart pounding against his ribs. The door, a slab of reinforced steel emblazoned with warning symbols, stood before him, a final obstacle guarding Satoshi's ultimate weapon. But this was no time for hesitation. The fate of millions, perhaps billions, rested on his shoulders.
No turning back now.
Taking a deep breath, Alex initiated the final sequence, his fingers flying across his phone's touchscreen, a blur of motion as he interfaced with the door's security system. Lines of code scrolled across the screen, a digital duel between his own skills and the sophisticated firewalls Satoshi had erected. The air crackled with tension, the silence broken only by the rhythmic tapping of his fingers and the whirring of the servers behind the steel barrier. Just as the system locked onto his access codes, a surge of countercode flooded his phone's display, a last-ditch effort by Satoshi's defenses to repel the intrusion. The room seemed to tilt, the digital noise morphing into a cacophony of static as the two opposing forces clashed in a battle for dominance.
With a surge of adrenaline, Alex pushed back, his fingers a blur as he rewrote code on the fly, countering Satoshi's defenses with a combination of brute force and elegant hacks. He could feel the strain, the mental exertion pushing him to his limits, but he refused to yield. Too much was at stake, too many lives hung in the balance.
Then, with a final keystroke, he breached the last firewall, the steel door sighing open as the security system relinquished its hold. The central server room, a symphony of blinking lights and humming servers, stretched before him, the air thick with the scent of ozone and the hum of raw processing power. And there, in the center of it all, bathed in the eerie glow of the servers, stood Satoshi, his back to Alex, his silhouette a dark specter at the heart of the digital storm he had unleashed. The room crackled with tension, the silence broken only by the rhythmic hum of the servers and the shallow breaths of two men locked in a battle for the future. Alex's heart pounded in his chest, his mind racing as he took in the scene, his eyes adjusting to the dim light finally settling on the figure before him.
You came, I knew you would.
He turned slowly, his face etched with fatigue and a strange sense of resignation, finally emerging from the shadows. For a moment their eyes met, and Alex saw not a monster, not a villain, but a man burdened by his own creation, his vision of a new world twisted by the very forces he sought to control.
It's over, Satoshi. I have the master key. You've lost.
A flicker of something akin to sadness crossed Satoshi's features. He let out a long sigh, his shoulders slumping slightly as if releasing a weight he had carried for far too long. The fight, the fire that had burned so brightly in their previous encounter, seemed to have flickered out, leaving behind a quiet resignation.
The key, it changes nothing. The system, it's too vast, too interconnected. You can't control it, no one can.
Alex stared at Satoshi, the weight of his words settling in the silence. The master key, the object of his desperate search, suddenly felt insignificant, a trinket in the face of a truth far more profound. The system, this sprawling, chaotic network of code and human ambition, had grown beyond anyone's control, even its creators.
Then what was it all for? Why the chaos, the destruction? What did you hope to achieve?
Satoshi turned away, his gaze drifting across the endless rows of servers, his eyes reflecting the flickering lights like a man lost in his own creation.
Control. I wanted to build a better world, a fairer world, free from the corruption and greed that had poisoned the old one, but I was naive.
He turned back to Alex, a flicker of the old fire returning to his eyes.
Power corrupts, Alex, even the power of code. I built a system designed to resist control, but in doing so I unleashed forces I could not contain. I became a prisoner of my own creation, just as everyone else.
Alex felt a chill run down his spine. Satoshi's words were a sobering echo of Dito's warnings, of Lara's pleas for him to walk away from the abyss. He had been so caught up in the thrill of the chase, in the belief that he could somehow outmaneuver the system, that he had failed to see the bigger picture, the unintended consequences of his actions.
What do we do now?
The master key felt cold in his hand, a symbol of a victory that tasted like ashes. Satoshi smiled sadly, a flicker of understanding passing between them.
That, Alex, is the question we must all answer. The system cannot be controlled, but it can be influenced, shaped by the choices we make, the code we write, the world we choose to build with the tools at our disposal.
He stepped closer, his gaze locking onto Alex's.
The master key is not a weapon, Alex. It's a responsibility. A reminder that even in a world governed by algorithms, it is still our choices that determine our destiny.
Alex left the server tower as the first rays of dawn pierced the city skyline, the master key a weight in his pocket, not of victory, but of understanding. The world was forever changed, the old order shattered beyond repair, but from the ashes, a new equilibrium was emerging. The Bitcoin crash, the chaos engineered by Satoshi, had served as a brutal wake-up call, a stark reminder of the fragility of their interconnected world. Governments and institutions, once resistant to change, were forced to adapt, to embrace the decentralization that Satoshi had envisioned, albeit in a more controlled, regulated form. The crypto landscape was forever altered, the Wild West tamed by a combination of government oversight and a newfound sense of responsibility among its users. The technology, once a tool for disruption, was now being harnessed for innovation, for social good, for building a more equitable and sustainable future. Alex returned to his life, to Lara's loving embrace, to Dito's knowing nod, but he carried with him the lessons learned in the heart of the digital storm. He continued to code, to innovate, but with a newfound sense of purpose, his creations guided by a deep respect for the power and the potential pitfalls of the technology he wielded. The legend of Satoshi lived on, not as a villain or a savior, but as a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the most well-intentioned creations could have unintended consequences. Satoshi's hand, once a symbol of chaos and disruption, became a badge of honor among a new generation of coders and creators, a reminder to use their skills wisely, to build a future worthy of the digital revolution they were shaping. The world had changed, all because of Bitcoin, but the future, Alex realized, was not written in lines of code, but in the choices they made, the stories they told, the connections they forged in a world forever bound by the invisible threads of the digital age.